Today is the election day here in the United States. We've been dealing with many uncertainties over the past 9+ months. But the uncertainty around the outcomes of this year's election has elevated the stress level to a whole nother dimension across our country. Many of us are dealing with anxiety and fear over the potential outcomes of the election. Regardless of the outcomes, some of us will experience disappointment and fear, while some of us will experience triumph and hope. And for some, the anxiety and uncertainty will continue. As entrepreneurs, we wake up every day facing uncertainties. If we let fear and anxiety from the uncertainties control us, we won't even get out of bed in the morning. Don't get me wrong, the anxiety and fear are real, but we have to move past them. The first thing we have to do is distinguishing what exactly we're in fear of. Are we fearing the known, unknown, or unknowable? If we are fearing something that is known, what steps can we take to mitigate the fear or risk? If we're fearing the unknown, what can we do to turn the unknown to known? What research can we do? Are there people we can talk to? What can we do to name this thing so we know what we're dealing with? If unknown becomes known, we can take measured steps and take care of it. If something is unknowable, there's not much we can do. We either have to wait until data becomes available or time reveals what we need to know so we can turn unknowable to unknown, then eventually to known. If there's nothing we can do about the unknowable, we shouldn't waste our time or energy on it. The truth really exists somewhere between our worst and best case scenarios, regardless of the election outcomes. The reality is that we will live somewhere along this spectrum, but not at the either extreme ends of this spectrum. For some of us, a little closer to our best case, and for some, a little closer to our worst case scenario. But for most of us, we will survive. Let's also distinguish what we have control over and what we don't. What are the things we have in our lives that we can control? Are we doing our best to leverage and utilize everything in our control? It doesn't make sense to stress out over things we don't have any control over. We should be satisfied if we've done all we can on those things we do have control over. When we allow all that's happening in the world on global, national, local, and personal level without distinguishing what we have control over, it overwhelms us. It may feel like the world is suffocating us and life seems out of control. It may feel like things are being done to us and we are doomed. I can't imagine anything worse than feeling helpless and hopeless. Once we command what we have control over, we gain ownership over what is happening around us, and we will no longer feel like things are happening to us. We're in control. As I mentioned earlier, regardless of the election results, most of us will survive. But for those who will be impacted differently, those who may not survive as well as some of us, what can we do to support them? What do we have control over to be there as allies, to make sure our fellow human beings can survive along with us? We must start at our personal level, then strive to make meaningful differences in our community and the world around us. As our 26th president once said, do what you can with what you have, where you are. That is really all we can do, anyone. Know what we have control over, do all that we can within our means to continue living our lives, caring for our loved ones and those in our community who can survive and thrive with our love. Let's find certainty in what we do know, what we can do, and what we have control over. Let's focus on who makes us happy and how we may bring joy to those we love and those who need our love.